Even at Graceland, he would be dressed up, coming down the staircase. No pajamas.
Priscilla Presley. After meeting the king of rock and roll at just 14 years old, her life was never the same. Despite the divorce and his passing so long ago, she has kept his legacy alive and still regards him as the love of her life. From taking care of the king to creating an empire around him, Priscilla has been doing it all. Was Elvis truly the love of her life, or will the new wave of Elvis fans be too much to handle? Let's find out. Today we're talking about Priscilla Presley. Tomorrow you decide. Leave this video a like and let us know who you want to see us cover next time on Where Are They Now. Priscilla Presley was born on May 24th, 1945 in Brooklyn, New York. Due to her father's career as a US Air Force Marshal, Priscilla and her family moved around a lot from base to base, which she said made her feel uneasy. Making friends and fitting in was hard for Priscilla, so when she got the news that her stepfather was transferred to West Germany, she was crushed because she would once again have to start over, leaving her junior high friends behind. Her family moved to Germany, and in 1959, it just so happened that superstar Elvis Presley was also stationed there. The two met at a party when Priscilla was just 14 and Elvis was 24. The age gap and his status sparked concern for her parents, but Elvis saw it as an opportunity to mold Priscilla into his ideal woman. He said to his friend Rex Mansfield that she was, quote, young enough that I can train her any way I want. After 4 dates together, he won Priscilla's parents over through an official meeting with her father. He was sporting his army uniform and told her father that he happens to be very fond of Priscilla and she's a lot more mature than her age. His charm worked because after this, he was her entire world. Priscilla stated that he would call the house after 7 and tell her he'd pick her up at 8, so she remembers scrambling around her house to get ready, looking for something to make herself look older, often wearing her mother's clothes. When Elvis was discharged from the army in 1960, he returned to the United States. With Priscilla still in Germany attending school, she was sure that the relationship would end. However, she continued to keep in touch by writing him letters and talking on the phone. Priscilla would put her letters to Elvis in hot pink envelopes so that hers would stand out from the fan mail. She continued to attend school, though her grades began slipping. After 2 years of long-distance communication, they were finally reunited in the summer of 1962 when they convinced Priscilla's parents to let her visit for 2 weeks. They only allowed the pair to be reunited if he paid for her to have a first-class round-trip flight, a chaperone at all times, and if she would write home every day. When she flew to LA, he told her that they were going to Vegas and instructed her to write a letter for every day they were gone so a staff member could send them to her parents from LA. She made another visit to Elvis during Christmas 1962, and in March of 1963, just before turning 18, her parents allowed her to move to Memphis for good. They had the rules, of course. She would attend an all-girls Catholic high school because, yes, she was still in high school at this time, and she would live with Elvis's parents at their house, not far from the Graceland mansion, until she graduated in June. A big part of the agreement was that they would eventually marry. Priscilla talks in many interviews of how he would decide how she did her hair, her makeup, what clothes she would wear, and even how her teeth looked. He was big into fashion and always wanted them to look good and coordinate with each other. After moving to Graceland, she had always wanted to tag along with Elvis to Hollywood, but he would often make her stay in Memphis. During the filming of Viva Las Vegas, Elvis had an affair with his co-star Anne Margaret. When Priscilla heard this, she confronted him only to be told it was all rumors to promote the film and not to believe everything she reads in the press. Over the years, it was rumored that he would have many other intimate relationships with many of his leading ladies and co-stars, denying them all to Priscilla. She recalls her life at Graceland during this time as being lonely since she wasn't able to visit him. Elvis's manager didn't want fans knowing he had a steady girlfriend yet, due to the fear of losing them and record sales because they may feel they no longer had a chance with Elvis. She was eventually allowed to visit him in Hollywood, but they were kept short. She described the lifestyle as so outrageous that she's thankful that she came out of it sane. Just before Christmas in 1966, Elvis got down on one knee and proposed to Priscilla. It has been rumored that Elvis was hesitant to propose, but her father threatened Elvis, leaving him no choice. Priscilla later shut this down, stating her father just wanted her to be happy and the rumor makes her sick. Priscilla has also talked many times about how Elvis refused to partake in intercourse with her until the two were wed. Priscilla stated in an interview in Ladies' Home Journal that she and Elvis were quite happy just to live together, but at the time it wasn't nice for people to just live together. The two waited no time before tying the knot on May 1st, 1967. The pair flew from Palm Springs to Las Vegas around midnight of their wedding day. Priscilla recalls them obtaining their license at about 3 a.m. and they were married in a room at the Aladdin Hotel with only 14 people in attendance. They followed up the ceremony with a quick press conference and a champagne breakfast for 100 guests downstairs. They later threw a bigger celebration at Graceland on May 29th, but they didn't want their wedding ceremony to be chaotic. Priscilla loved time after the wedding. They took a 3-week break with no staff, and she enjoyed this time where she was the one who was able to take care of Elvis rather than a maid or a staff member. Exactly 9 months after their wedding date on February 1st, 1968, they welcomed their first and only child together, Lisa Marie Presley. Life after Lisa Marie became a little more rocky for the couple. Elvis and his manager worried about how becoming a dad would possibly make him less desirable with the young female fans. Elvis also became reluctant to sleep with Priscilla after giving birth due to the fact that Elvis had never slept with a woman before who had a child. He was attracted to youth and innocence. This started a bit of a disconnect between the two. Priscilla began to take dance classes to fill her time. She found herself deeply attracted to her dance teacher, and she confesses in her book, Elvis and Me, to having a short affair with him. But she implied with regret that she came out of it realized she needed so much more out of her relationship with Elvis. Despite her affair and Elvis's relationships with his co-stars, they seemed very happy during those first few years of marriage. It however took a turn in 1968 when Elvis's career started to take off again. When Priscilla had first moved to Memphis, Elvis had been focusing on his movies. So after his TV special that year, he was constantly touring and playing in Vegas. He was reportedly seeing other women on and off while away, leaving Priscilla home alone with baby Lisa. In the early 70s, Priscilla began taking lessons from Elvis's karate instructor Mike Stone as a way to pass time and be involved in one of her husband's hobbies. Not long after, their relationship had developed into an affair. Priscilla still loved Elvis, but she knew she had a big decision to make. Due to her husband's lack of intimacy, she began to doubt herself as a woman and felt as though her physical and emotional needs were not being fulfilled. The pair separated in February 1972, and their divorce was finalized on October 9th, 1973. A lot of reports state that the two divorced due to infidelity on both parts, which definitely had a hand in it, but Priscilla herself also stated that she realized she just hadn't experienced anything other than Elvis. He was her world, and she needed to see what was out there for herself. The two stayed close. They left the courthouse on the day of their divorce hand in hand. They also kept up a positive relationship while co-parenting their daughter Lisa Marie. She recalls that it was almost like they had never divorced. They would still share everything with each other and kept a close relationship. In 1973, Priscilla entered her first solo adventure by setting up a clothing boutique in LA called Biz & Beau along with her friend and stylist Olivia Biz. The shop was a success, gaining regular celebrity clients including Liza Minnelli, Barbra Streisand, Natalie Wood, and Cher. She continued with the boutique until it closed in 1976. The following year, in 1977, is when Elvis passed away. She says that even though the two were divorced, she loved Elvis and still loves him to this day. She had never felt more alone or afraid in her life after she heard the news. Elvis's father, Vernon, was one of the executors of his estate, which was held in a trust for his daughter, Lisa Marie. When he passed in 1979, Priscilla was the one who took over. Graceland, however, was costing $500,000 a year in upkeep and fees. The expenses had lowered Lisa's inheritance to only $1 million. Priscilla thought she was going to have to sell Graceland, but instead was able to turn it into a tourist attraction. It opened to the public on June 7, 1982, and in just 4 weeks after opening, the estate made back all the money it had invested. She even became the chairwoman and president of Elvis Presley Enterprises, stating she would remain in the position until Lisa Marie was 21. Priscilla was able to save Graceland and keep the money flowing. Eventually, the trust grew to over $100 million. After Elvis, Priscilla was free to venture into the career world. She'd always shown interest in acting, dancing, and modeling, but Elvis felt that a woman's place was to be home looking after her man. She was originally offered a role as one of Charlie's Angels, but she disliked the show, so she turned it down. In 1980, she made her television debut as a co-host of Those Amazing Animals. In 1983, she had her first chance to act professionally on an episode of The Fall Guy Season 2, which led her to landing a role in television film Love is Forever starring Michael Landon. In 1984, she entered her longest-running relationship since Elvis. After dating around here and there, she entered a 22-year-long relationship with Marco Garibaldi, who was a screenwriter. With him, she had her son Navarone Stone in 1978, and the pair split in 2006. After her film Love is Forever aired on television, she landed her role of Jenna Wade on the soap opera Dallas. She was the third actress to play Jenna, but played her for the longest. She stayed on the show for 5 years and left in 1988. Also in 1988 was the year she starred opposite Leslie Nielsen in The Naked Gun from The Files of the Police Squad as Jane Spencer. She would also go on to reprise her role in the second and third movies in the series in 1991 and 1994. All three films performed well at box offices. Between the Naked Gun films, she would also appear in The Adventures of Ford Fairlane in 1990, as well as guest appearances in shows Melrose Place, Touched by an Angel, and Spin City. Priscilla also had her time on the production side of things, helping produce films Breakfast with Einstein and Finding Graceland, both in 1998. In September 2000, she was elected to the board of directors at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, or MGM. Since 2003, Presley has been the ambassador of the Dream Foundation, which is a wish-granting organization for terminally ill adults and their families. In 2015, Priscilla became the executive producer of a 14-track album titled If I Can Dream, Elvis Presley with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. She helped choose which of Elvis's tracks would be elevated and enhanced by the full orchestra. Also in 2015, she worked with U.S. Postmaster General Megan Brennan to dedicate a stamp to Elvis. On August 16, 2019, it was announced that herself, with John Eddy and Sony Pictures, were creating and producing Agent King, a Netflix animated fictional series in which Elvis would be a musician by day and a U.S. government spy by night. So where is she now? Priscilla is still actively involved in keeping her ex-husband's legacy alive. She regularly visits Graceland, most recently celebrating the late singer's 87th birthday and promoting events at the tourist attraction. Lately, she has been in the press more than she has in a while due to the release of the new Elvis biopic, retelling the story of his life and career. Just last week, her and her family were asked to put their hands on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She has boasted about the film and how happy she is that her children and grandchildren will be able to see it. The release of the Netflix animated series Agent King still has no set release date, but a teaser was posted on June 15th to the official Elvis account, and it should be out sometime in 2022. She continues to do interviews about herself, Elvis, and the new film that has had great feedback. She continues to be involved in activism, and her son just got married back in February. What do you think? Is Elvis the true love of her life, or did she just get comfortable in the world of rock and roll? Let me know your thoughts on Priscilla Presley in the comments below. I have been your host, Maddie. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know who you want to see next time on Where Are They Now?